and to let you know that he's going to talk about what we put out in the press release, and he'll be able to answer some questions, but understand if we don't have the information or if we don't give you the answer, it's because we still have the ongoing investigation. Okay? Chief Birkenfeld.
Thanks, Sergeant Burke. Good afternoon, everybody. I appreciate you taking the time to come out today to the police department. Oh, okay, sorry, I should have anticipated. I appreciate you taking the time. We have a serious situation in Amarillo. We want to let everybody know about the situation that occurred last night. And unfortunately, we don't have a lot of information to put out. We don't have. We're still deep in the investigation, and like Sergeant Burke said, there's some things that we're not going to put out just because we want to investigate every lead to its fullest logical conclusion. My name is Martin Birkenfeld. I'm the Chief of Police for the Police Department of Amarillo, M-A-R-T-I-N-B-I-R-K-E-N-F-E-L-D. Shortly before 11 o'clock last night, officers began being dispatched on calls of shots fired in the area of 37th and Coulter. They actually went to a couple of different locations because people had been driving their cars through that area and their cars were struck by gunfire. As of this afternoon, we believe there's a total of 6 vehicles now that were hit by gunfire. There were a total of 4 people that were injured during the gunfire. Fortunately, we believe most of the injuries are not life-threatening, and that's really all we know about our gunshot victims right now. I want to thank everybody that's called in with tips so far. It's been this is how we solve these cases, is people paying attention, giving us information, and that's one of the things we're going to encourage today is more information. I also want to extend kudos to our detectives and our police officers who are out there working, some of them for hours and hours on this case right now. It's a large area to look at. We're going door to door, talking to people, both in the neighborhoods and in the apartment complexes nearby to try to get any information that we can. We very much need additional information, and so that's what we'll be seeking is people look at your home surveillance cameras if you live in that area, or really anywhere nearby. Call your friends, talk to people, and just anything you think that is helpful to us, we would appreciate that information. There's really not a whole lot else to say about the incident itself that wasn't in the press release. We believe the shooting occurred in the same general area over a period of 5 to 10 minutes. We did receive several calls from people who were not struck by gunfire as well. We're going to continue to work on this. We are concerned about this because it's random. We don't find any connection necessarily yet to any of the people who were struck by gunfire or by fragments or their vehicles to any particular suspect or suspects. So at this point, we're still looking for leads. So we want to make sure that anybody who thinks that they've seen anything or heard anything, please call us and let us know. If you have video or photographic evidence, we posted a link where you can upload that directly to our evidence system, and we'll get that here at the police department. So with that, I'm happy to answer any can.
All those injuries, I know the one in the press release that said, it was from the glass that fell through. Do we know, was anyone actually hit by a bullet, or were there injuries from like pieces of glass? We
don't know exactly. It could be a combination thereof. They're still working on the forensics end of that, so it's be inaccurate for me to say with exact. There were combinations that could have been either or.
And is there a suspect vehicle you guys are looking for right now, or are you guys still in the process of figuring that out with photos and video evidence?
Yeah, we're still in the process of looking at a ton of video evidence. We have license plate reader, we have video camera surveillance in areas, and we're looking for individuals who might have information as well. So as soon as we get some actionable information that the public will certainly put that out, because the more eyes and ears, the better.
And there's a crime scene at the Windtree Apartments, and we had someone there and they said it was connected to the shooting. Are you able to give any information of how exactly that's connected to this right now?
Not exactly. We've got a wide search area, and certainly those apartments are within the search area that we're looking at. So it's likely we'll be there again over the next few hours and days in that area and associated areas, because as you can imagine, it's a pretty big area for us to look at. So as far as particular apartments, it may take us longer. Sometimes we can knock on a door and get an answer and figure out what we need from the occupants right away. Sometimes it takes a return visit or If we think we need additional information, then it may take us a little longer.
Upon investigation of this scene, were you able to determine if the shots maybe came from a handgun or from a rifle?
We don't know for sure yet. That's part of what they're investigating with the ballistics and the evidence that we're collecting, and hopefully we can determine that. Certainly that'll be a key piece of evidence.
Off of that, probably don't know, but do you know if it was possibly someone like in a vehicle or someone standing out on the street?
Not yet. We haven't made that determination. Again, our focus is the investigation right now, but we didn't want to remain silent on this because it's very important for our community to know what's going on. This potentially was a very, very dangerous situation last night, and we want to make sure that the community is aware so everybody can take appropriate measures.
Does this bear any similarities to any other instances that have happened over the last year?
Not that we've directly connected right now, but that's definitely one avenue at going over past incidents of shootings or required to see if there's any connections.
Are there any other agencies involved?
We're using every resource at our disposal, so yes would be the answer.
As chief, how does this make you feel to see something like this happen?
Every shooting that we have is concerning, but this one is particularly concerning. It makes me nervous because it is random. From what we can tell now, we could determine that it's not later, but it just everything that we have now, it just appears to be random. So it's very concerning to us. This is kind of an all hands on deck investigation.
Is there still a continued threat to the community, you think?
It would be prudent to say yes, because we just don't have a suspect in custody. And so I wish I could be more specific and say there's a particular area or there's a particular way we can identify where the threat would be, but I can't. And I don't want to cause panic by any means, but at the same time, what I would encourage is if you do hear shots fired, call us, give us the exact location, and stay on the line with the 911 operator and tell them I would like to speak to a police officer, because it's very helpful if we can actually talk to a person and they can point us in the right direction. Sometimes we get random calls from people that hear gunshots in the neighborhood, but they don't give us any more information, and they say, well, I don't want to talk to a police officer. That's not as helpful to us as actually being able to talk to a person. So we would appreciate if you see anything suspicious or if you hear gunshots, call us, call 911. We'll send police officers out as soon as they're available and tell them that you would like to speak to the officer so the officer can interview you in person.
Chief, can you tell us about the specific injuries, how extensive they were, or if they were superficial or whatever?
Well, we're classifying them as non-life threatening. All the information we've got, it's unfortunate, the entire incident, but it is fortunate that the injuries weren't worse at this time.
Was there any pattern or connection noticed between the vehicles that were targeted?
I don't know that answer, but I don't believe so. There's nothing that I've been told that would indicate that they were picking out a particular type of vehicle or person or anything like that.
So until you have a suspect in custody, is there going to be any beefed up patrols or?
Absolutely. I just got done talking with our evening shift patrol. They're very much aware of the information, and they're going to take additional measures and make sure that we keep our officers safe, we keep our community safe, and part of that is making sure we're out and about, being as visible as possible. We also have detectives working still probably into the night pursuing leads, and any other resources that we can use or that we need, we'll be calling them.
And I'm assuming you mentioned it, but I just want to double check. We're not really sure if it's a lone gunman or is it multiple people? We're not really sure.
No, sir.
Okay.
What time did you say the first call came through?
Right before 11 p.m. last night, about 2 minutes before 11, I believe.
Were they like shots fired calls, or that somebody that hit, or?
We had both types of calls. Several calls came in because obviously when in a fairly crowded area, there were people could hear the gunshots, but also the people whose vehicles were struck called us, and then we also had one call this afternoon realizing that their vehicle had been struck.
And also to those that same general area.
Yes.
That'd be on Coulter and Sleepy Hollow?
And I believe 37th and Coulter is kind of the center of where our investigation is.
And the time frame of shots being fired is from what time to what time that we've kind of narrowed down?
Sometime between 10:50 and 11 p.m. last night.
I know a couple of years ago we had the one where I think there was like 5 drive-by shootings. Would you say is that same level of caution and like similar
Exactly,
incident.
exactly. We've discussed that internally, and of course, our detectives worked super hard then. We were able to identify the suspect, get him in custody, but it is that same level of caution that we need. Again, looking for something suspicious. If you hear gunshots, call us right away. Anything that you think is out of the ordinary, we'll take that information.
Have you guys gotten a lot of tips and like videos and stuff sent in?
I haven't checked on that. I know we've gotten some calls and tips, but I don't know the volume yet. And I expect that'll pick up as time goes by, but that's okay. We have the people to sort through that, and we'll identify what we need to keep and what we don't.
So I'm guessing you're gonna go by any businesses that happen to have cameras in the area?
Every possible lead. Well, I appreciate you coming out to disseminate this information. Again, it's not our intent to cause panic, but we don't want rumors flying around. We don't want additional panic that we can, alleviate. Unfortunately, we just don't have a lot of information right now. As soon as we do, we'll be happy to update that. Again, we're going to be working on this nonstop and just doing everything we can to keep our community safe. Anything else we can think of? All right.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you all for your time.
So I guess it would be fair to say any businesses or residents there that have footage that might help the police contact them.
Absolutely.
Or Uber drivers, people that use cameras in their cars, anybody like that that might have been in that area during that time, if they want to look and see if they saw anything that looks out of the ordinary. That's another thing to think about.
And I just got a question. I heard that.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank you so much.
On June 8th, the Golden Bar
There
was
was-
somebody actually hit.
Yeah,
We didn't have-
superficially.
Okay, so we just never got a report, so I wasn't sure.
I had